Hi everyone, welcome to the Serafina Joy podcast experience. My aim is to present the same content that I share on my Facebook blog, but obviously this is a different platform, so I'll adapt things as I need to so that I can make this an enjoyable experience. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'll be talking about the full moon in Sagittarius on the 23rd of May. For those of you who don't know what I do over on Facebook, I tend to pull tarot cards and oracle cards, usually in relation to what's happening astrologically. I should also say that I'm someone who channels when I write, so it's the Facebook post that is the actively channeled message from my tarot readings. With this podcast, though, I'll probably just work through the slides and talk you through what we're looking at. So thank you. I'll move on to the next slide, which was just going to show us this astrological chart in closer detail. Yes, so this is the astrological chart for the 23rd of May. I've just circled the areas of interest on this chart so that I can show you the parts that I'm talking about as we go through this. Full moons and new moons are the lunar events we most talk about, and they both involve the sun and the moon. In a new moon, which is where we see no moon in the sky, the sun and the moon are in the exact same position on an astrological chart. So they would both be, for example, at X degrees of Gemini. In a full moon, though, the sun and the moon are opposite each other on an astrological chart. So they end up being in opposite signs for obvious reasons. And that's what makes this full moon a full moon in Sagittarius. Now this chart, as I said, is for the 23rd of May, so it's not yet. But on that date, the sun will be at 2, nearly 3 degrees of Gemini. And then on that date, the moon is across in the opposite sign, Sagittarius, at the same degree point. So on this chart circled in blue, I've got the sun towards the bottom of the chart and the moon over up at the top. Sorry, I just paused the video. My dog was barking. Hopefully he's settled now. So in terms of the signs of this full moon, Gemini is an air sign and Sagittarius is a fire sign. Now air and fire are the masculine elements, so they do get along well. These are both also mutable signs. Now mutable signs are the more flexible, adaptable signs. They work well with change basically. The reason I'm bringing that up is because just like the last full moon, Pluto again has an aspect to this full moon. Now I've circled Pluto in yellow and it's on this chart at about 11 o'clock. Pluto, as we can see, is retrograde in Aquarius and it's at 2 degrees, so very similar degree point. Aquarius is also an air sign, so because Gemini is an air sign, there's a trine there between Pluto and the Sun, and there's also a sextile with the moon in Sagittarius. Now, trines and sextiles are nice aspects, and that's in definite contrast to what we saw at the last full moon, because in that full moon, the full moon in Scorpio, Pluto was squaring the full moon axis. Now, squares and oppositions are the more tense, confrontational aspects. And in the last full moon, it's very interesting because we have the sun in Taurus and the moon in Scorpio and Pluto in Aquarius, and they are all fixed signs. So it's kind of easy to imagine how much tension there was there. Because fixed signs, as we know, are the most resistant to change, and Pluto is a planet that wants change to happen. It's a planet that wants things to be transformed and for things to end so that new things can begin. It's definitely interesting that Pluto had to be forceful when the sun and the moon were in fixed signs, and it's playing nice now that the sun and the moon are in mutable signs. I think the energy of the mutable signs here is that if they sense that change is necessary, they will just go with it and make it work. Whereas obviously with the fixed signs, they will try and stubbornly stay in their comfort zone. Now in that last full moon, Pluto was the dominant planet because obviously it's an outer planet, it's stronger than the sun and the moon, and it was also ruling the full moon because it's the ruler of Scorpio, so it had a lot of influence at that last full moon. Here, yes, it's influencing this, but I don't think it's having to push very hard at all. On to the next thing. So down towards the bottom of the chart, near where the sun is, we have a stellium in Taurus still. And that just means that there's still a lot of good Taurus energy happening at the time of this full moon. The planets here are Mercury, Uranus, Jupiter, and Venus. And now it gets a lot more interesting here because here's the next most major thing about this full moon, and I'll have to speak about it for quite a bit because there's quite a lot going on. So in that stellium right near the sun, you can see 29 degrees of Taurus, and we have Jupiter and Venus forming a conjunction at that degree point. And Jupiter happens to actually be the ruler of this full moon because it rules Sagittarius. And Venus obviously is at home in Taurus because that's one of her signs that she rules. So that's all very interesting. Venus is divine feminine energy, so think fertility, creativity, beauty, and Jupiter is luck and expansion. They're both considered benefic planets, so that's a really lovely conjunction. It's happening in an earth sign, so we can expect the energy of this conjunction to bring something good into our material lives. So that's really good, but it gets better because if you look at this chart at about 9 o'clock, we have Neptune in Pisces, and it's also at 29 degrees. And that planet is making a sextile to the Jupiter-Venus conjunction. And so these are the feminine elements. So Pisces is a water sign, Taurus is an earth sign. They're the feminine elements, and we've got another sextile here that's lovely. So sextiles are nice. Neptune is in Pisces, which is the sign that it rules. And Piscean energy is it actually works really well with Jupiter and Venus. And the reason I say that is that Jupiter was actually the ancient ruler of Pisces, and Venus is considered exalted in Pisces. So when Venus is in Pisces, she's powerful in Pisces. So that's really good. So that Piscean energy, that influence is very favorable. So all in all, it looks like this is something really good happening in our material lives, and it has got the loving support of the spiritual Neptune and Pisces energy. So it's all win-win-win. Now, in terms of the last thing I'd like to talk about, because it's really major as well, is that all three of these planets are at 29 degrees. So that's an important degree point. The 29 degree point is known as the anaretic degree, so ANARETIC, and it's important because it's the last degree of a sign. So when a planet is at this last degree, it's basically finishing its journey through that sign, and it's close to moving into the next sign. Excuse me, sorry. So now I see that as being like the planet has had a journey through, the planet has had a journey through the sign, and it's picked up some wisdom and intelligence, so it's fairly mature in terms of that sign's energy. So as I said, Venus, Jupiter, and Neptune all at 29 degrees, so they're all fairly confident about what they're doing in that part of your chart. Now, that Neptune in particular makes this, I should say, there's a greater depth to this because of Neptune being at 29 degrees of Pisces. Because Pisces is also the very last sign of the zodiac. So that means that the next sign Neptune will move into is Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac. To me, that's a bit like an old, wise, spiritual sage being reborn as a little baby. So Neptune is also an outer planet. So it's not a personal planet. And if there's this rebirth happening, it's happening for all of us. And when I put it in that frame, it seems to be about the collective consciousness and the ascension of humanity. So it's a big deal. And the other thing to say is that Neptune is very slow moving, so it doesn't actually travel through that many signs in a human lifetime. So we are actually privileged to be alive when Neptune completes its 12-sign cycle and starts all over again in Aries. because that doesn't happen for a lot of humans. So we get to experience something that's fairly rare. Now, if I had to interpret it, I would say this whole conjunction feels like it's something where we as individuals can take all of that spiritual wisdom that's been gained and use it to create a new and better life for ourselves, as well as contribute collectively to a new and better world, which is very deep. And it's not obviously complete yet, but we're certainly getting this maturity of the signs here working together. And Neptune, as I said, it's slow moving, so it won't actually get into Aries for maybe another year or two. So it's still going to be there for a while, but we're getting close to it. So this conjunction feels like it's maybe the beginning of something that might guide us into that new, better version of life, and how we can contribute that sort of energy into the world as well. So fascinating stuff. So these are the cards that we got for the tarot spread for this full moon. So I have a fairly intuitive process for how I choose my decks. So I tend to start with the first oracle deck that comes to me, and then the first card leads me to the next oracle deck, and then the two cards that are out will guide me to the third oracle deck, and then the three oracle cards guide me to the tarot deck. That's what happens about 95% of the time. Very occasionally I'll feel like I'm drawn to 2 or 3 decks right from the start, but I just tend to go with whatever I'm feeling intuitively. There is another difference today because I normally take 3 tarot cards and 1 from the bottom of the deck, but this time I took 2 from the bottom of the deck. This is just me. I don't ignore any major arcana cards that want to show up in a reading because they are important energies. Here I took the Chariot from the bottom of the deck, and the Lovers was right behind it. I guess one day I'll find myself with a run of major arcana cards at the bottom of the deck, but it's only 2 today. Phew. Sorry, my dog is here with me. Anyway, so our bottom of the deck energies are the Chariot, which is about drive and determination, and in the pursuit of something that we really want. And the Lovers card is about making choices with our hearts, so love-based, heart-based choices. So together this is a fantastic combination. It's about choosing to go towards something that we love. The major arcana cards all have zodiac associations too. So the Chariot relates to Cancer and the Lovers relates to Gemini. I rarely talk about timing in a reading, but these are signs that are right next to each other, and that makes me wonder. So Gemini time is probably from about the 20th, 21st of May through to the 20th, 21st of June, and then Cancer follows that for the next month. So this timing thing could be about the cusp period in between the 2 signs, which would be about the 20th or 21st of June, or it could actually be the whole 2-month period that these signs are covering. So over to the tarot. The first tarot is the Ace of Pentacles, which is about a new opportunity or windfall, something positive in the material world, in our lives. And yeah, we sort of already got that, didn't we, with the astrology. The Ace of Pentacles is something that usually happens because of seeds that were planted in the past. So here in this reading, this might be someone getting a promotion or being offered their dream job because they impressed someone with something they did in the past. The second card, though, is a sad card. There's sadness, there's sorrow. It's the Three of Swords. And I guess that is showing us that even though something's being gained, something is also being lost. And that seems like the Pluto message, doesn't it? Something ending and something new beginning. Using that job offer as an example, this might be someone who gets an overseas job offer and they have to leave everything behind in order to take it. So they're leaving family, friends, their old job, their home, their possessions. So there's a sad sort of transition period where they have to re-establish themselves in a new location. And the last tarot card is the Two of Wands, which is about someone seeing a new path open up for them. It is something they want. And like the Ace of Pentacles, this card also carries that sense that this is something this person has manifested. It is their dream. And in the Two of Wands, the person isn't actually moving. So they're still in a contemplative phase. They're looking ahead at this path. And so this is about the sort of it's about the planning and the preparation that someone might need to do before they set off on a new path into unfamiliar territory. They want to prepare for it. They want to lay the right groundwork and start with a solid foundation rather than rushing forward recklessly into the unknown. And they might even want to organise a graduated transition from their old life, so it's not a big and sudden change, and which means they can adapt really to whatever the new thing is. So this is just someone thinking about how to most successfully navigate the new path. They do want the new path. It's not that, it's just that they want to do it in a smart way. Now over to the Oracle cards, we have Binah, which is, I think, the third Sephira in the Kabbalah Tree of Life, and it relates to the Divine Feminine. It's about understanding, and the other keywords here are silence and awareness. So again, there's that contemplative vibe coming through there. On this card, the Divine Feminine, it's interesting because obviously Divine Feminine energy makes me think of Venus, which we had in our Astrology, but this is an older queen in this image. And that kind of does fit because we were talking about the mature 29-degree Venus in the Astrology chart. So this is a mature Divine Feminine. This is not the young, pregnant Divine Feminine we see in the Empress card in Tarot. And so that brings me to the idea of the triple goddess characterization of the Divine Feminine energies, where they're classified as maiden, mother, and crone, or categorized, I should say. And this is the crone, so this is the mature Divine Feminine energy. In this card, there's a lot of symbols. We have the raven as a spiritual messenger and the dove as a messenger of hope and peace. And these birds as messengers, and the contrast of the black and the white birds. It has the vibe of the high priestess, which is intuitive and spiritual. And the queen's also holding a cup, like the Queen of Cups. And the Queen of Cups is someone who's kind and intuitive and empathic. And I couldn't quite work out the symbols on her throne, but it did make me think of earth signs, so I could sort of see her also as being someone really grounded. So overall, this is a very balanced, very mature, very evolved Divine Feminine. The Saturn is shown on the card as well. That planet didn't come up in the Astrology, but it's also an outer planet, and it's also moving through Pisces. And like Neptune, it's also going to move from Pisces into Aries in the next year or so, or maybe 2 years, I'm not too sure. But Saturn is the planet we associate with harsh lessons, as well as karma and reaping what you sow. Maybe that's another suggestion, because we were talking about seeds that were planted in the Ace of Pentacles, but maybe this is another suggestion that this new opportunity, whatever it is something that this person is getting because of something they've done in the past, either good karma from the past or they've done good work in the past. It's something they deserve. It's a reward for something from the past. The next card is the Butterfly of New Beginnings, which is made of moss agate, and it has the keywords new birth, emerging, and fertility. That certainly fits with everything we've had so far. I don't own any moss agate, but the colour of the card drew me to the pale greens in the spread, and there are a few. I know some of them look more yellow in the photograph, but trust me, in real life they were quite like a nice pale green as well in those colours. Now green is the colour of the heart chakra, and obviously the heart chakra is already shown here because we have the Lovers card, which is about making heart-based choices. Now the fact that the green of the heart chakra is so quiet in this spread is interesting to me, and I'm seeing that as meaning that this person operates from their heart chakra, but it's not really something that's obvious or easily noticed by other people. They're not loud about it, they're not obvious about their feelings, but they always do things with love. And in fact, the whole color scheme is muted. So I suspect that even that determined chariot energy isn't all that obvious to others. So this person is loving and they're quietly determined to make progress towards what they love. But no, I mean, it might not be obvious at all to other people. So that's interesting, isn't it? So the crystal I've got here, which I chose because it happened to be on my table and it was the right colors for the spread, and it kind of looked a bit like the heart in the Three of Swords. So I chose this crystal, and then I went to look into it. So this crystal is hematoid quartz, and it's not moss agate. But when you look at the two crystals, if you look them up, they're actually very similar. So I think that was so funny to find. But anyway, both of these crystals are excellent for calming and balancing emotions, and they both relate to new beginnings and perseverance, and they're both sort of good for depression. So it's funny that they're both so similar, and it's really quite amazing. Now, the last oracle card is St. Francis of Assisi, and he is instantly recognizable with those robes and the birds. And actually, this reminds me of something that I haven't said yet, and that was that in my blog, the date of this full moon, 23/5, actually brought the Hierophant to mind, because 23 and 5 are both 5, basically, in terms of their numerology. And 5 is a number that relates to change, which we're seeing plenty of that in this reading. But it's also a number in tarot that relates to the Hierophant card, which is a Taurus energy. And we do currently have that Taurus stellium, remember, as well as the conjunction, the Venus-Jupiter conjunction. So anyway, the Hierophant card is about traditional structures and institutions, doing things by the book, etc. And the Hierophant is always shown as a spiritual leader. Now, when I was channeling the message from this St. Francis card, I could see that this tied in to his story actually quite well, because he became well known because of his humility and willingness to help and serve others. And he was also attached to nature, and he loved and protected animals. But on the other side of it, he was also part of this established traditional religion. And his actions seemed to come from his heart, and that's really what set him apart from the other religious people of the time, who were probably more doing these are the rules and this is the only right way to live, the usual religion angle. So they were doing that, and he obviously knew all that stuff, but he wasn't really doing that. He was operating from his heart, and that, again, we're tying back into this heart chakra stuff. And really, that's what set him apart from the others, because he was doing things from his heart. It was by touching other people's hearts that he became this timeless spiritual religious icon, and someone who is instantly recognizable to us, even though it's been a lot of centuries since his time. He's gone a long time ago. So St. Francis of Assisi wasn't loud or obvious about what he was doing. He just let his actions and his work be guided by the love in his heart. Now, another thing that came through when I was channeling was how different this is to how people seek fame and popularity in the modern world. We are always told, that in order to succeed, we need to promote ourselves and promote our brand and promote our products and promote our services, and that it's absolutely vital to be noticed and to have a social media presence and to have lots and lots of followers. St. Francis didn't have social media. Neither did Buddha, who came up in a previous reading. And sorry, there's no podcast for that one, but it's on Facebook if you want to go check it out there. But these two individuals didn't promote themselves at all, really. They just did their thing. And here we are centuries later still talking about them. They had plenty of followers, and they got them by connecting with the hearts and souls of the people who came to know them. And the message there is that when things are done with good intentions, big things can come from that, without the need to chase success. In this reading, this person is getting something positive for all the work. that they've been doing and all the things that they've been putting their heart into. And I forgot to read this card out to you, but it's titled Gentleness, and it reads, Strength is gentle, true kindness has wings, love in action endures. So gentleness certainly comes through with the muted colour scheme, and the wings. So it talks about true kindness having wings, and we have a lot of wings in this spread. So there's birds in the Bina card, there's the butterfly, there's birds in the St. Francis card. And I think there's even an angel in the Lovers card. Yeah, there is. So lots and lots of wings here to reinforce that message. And what that's about is that when you put loving energy out there, it travels far and wide. It doesn't need active marketing. People will feel the love in your work, in your product, in your service. They will come back because they liked what you did. And they will also tell friends and family about it because it was a good experience for them. And then those people will come to you. So this is good old-fashioned word of mouth marketing. That's how St. Francis, oh, that's my fierce doggy. That's how St. Francis and Buddha and Jesus, that's how they all became known. And all they were doing was sharing their love and wisdom to help. So all they were doing was sharing their love and wisdom. All they were doing was sharing their love. I might just pause it and come back. All right, let's try that again. All they were doing was sharing their love and wisdom to help those around them. And I think that might be all I get from this card. Oh, and then there's a sentence, love in action endures. And that's just to say that, you know, when it's in your work, it's in your work. It's going to be lasting. And I think, it's really beautiful. And I think this is for everyone out there who's working on their labors of love. And I hope this reading makes them see that the results will come one day. And really, there's overnight flash in the pan kind of success, which comes from trying to steal everyone's attention. But that's not really as amazing as the long-lasting success that comes from having customers or fans or followers who actually love what you do. And those kind of people will remain supportive of your work for the long haul. And that is so much better. And it's the kind of appreciation that you would actually want when you're doing something that matters to you. So yeah, that's it, I think, with the energies I wanted to talk about from the cards. When I was doing my reading, I also felt guided to find a quote, and the word that came through in my mind was destiny. So I looked up quotes on destiny, and this is, I think, one of the very first ones that came up. And it was actually so perfect for my reading that when I was looking through the other quotes, like none of them really stood out at all. This is not a reading, this is not a quote that I've actually ever seen before, but I'll read it out. It says, destiny is no matter of chance, it is a matter of choice. It's not a thing to be waited for, it is a thing to be achieved. And to me, this is powerfully expressive of the reading, because this is someone who's chosen to work on something because they love it and because they want to do it. And so they are creating their own destiny through those choices. And so I hope that's inspiring to everyone out there as well. And yeah, that's it, I think, for today. I like to always say what decks I've used, because I know some people out there like to buy decks as much as I like to buy decks. But the tarot deck is called Fenestra Tarot. The 3 oracle decks, the first one is the Tree of Life Oracle, and that's a Kabbalah-based deck. The second one with the butterfly is the Psychic Soul Oracle for life guidance. It's basically all different butterflies made of different crystals. It's quite cool. I didn't think I'd like it at first, but I do actually really like it now. It's one of my favorites. And the third one is definitely one of my favorites. Beautiful messages always. This is the Magical Times Empowerment cards. And as I said earlier, the crystal that I've used today is hematoid quartz for people who like buying crystals. And yeah, this is the last slide. It's just to say thank you for your time and for listening to my podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to show your support, there's obviously a few different things you can do. You can like the video, you can comment, you can share, you can react. But my written blog, so that is on Facebook. That's what my Facebook blog page looks like. So feel free to check that out. Obviously, in future, I'll be trying to do a podcast version for every blog, so you can definitely choose the medium you prefer. And you can check out both, even if that's something you'd like to do. So that's it. I hope I'll see you all again. Thank you. Bye.